Hey Ross.
Hey Tim.
Hey guys.
All right. We're going to go over a couple updates. Quick little thing on some strategy stuff, and then we'll go into general Q&A. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining.
Good evening. No, sorry. Afternoon, morning. I'm not sure what it is for you. Are you? I know you're Texas, aren't you, or something? I don't know. You're all over the place.
Yeah, we're all over. Especially with the time change in the US last couple days has been fun as well. So I'm hoping yeah, I'm glad everyone got on the right time.
Yes. Yeah, because last week, or a few days before last week, we all our times all changed here in the UK, so we were a bit time. So I was rushing home to be here at 6 p.m. our time, which is what it was last week. Which is why I was late joining the call last week. And
Ah,
of course, this week you're now back caught up with us, so it's now
yep,
7 p.m.
yep.
So excuse me eating as well.
All righty. So we got a couple updates here. We're The whole team is pretty much locked in the lab right now. We're crushing updates. Myself and other Tim have been working on basically like the next 3 to 6 months of features and how we're going to do rollout and a bunch of different higher level strategy things as we go into the holiday season here. But just like always, we've got a bunch of updates and fixes for different things that people have been reporting. So if anybody's watching this as well, please keep, letting us know if you have ideas or things that can make the platform better, because that definitely really helps. So a couple small things. One being the language default for all agencies. This is now going to be inside the profile setting, and you have a default language here that you can select the language pack. This will apply that language to any new sub account as the default. So when they log in for the first time, that's the language that they would see without them having to go up and changing it manually from English to whatever other language. So if you're using other languages, that's going to help with the overall immersiveness of the platform. So that's now up to date. And we got a couple of those other languages in there. We are still working on the Brazilian Portuguese as well, so we'll get that one out shortly. Next, we've added some filters for the wallet transaction section. We're actually going to be pushing a couple more updates on this in a couple days. We're going to be adding some more information here, but this is simply allowing you to filter the payments by a date range, and the ability to also search for different transactions. So now we give you this little this date window. So you can select a different range of dates and you'll get transactions from those specific dates, and then be able to filter it if it's transactions from your agency or for your sub account. So if the bot is in your agency, that's considered something from your agency, and you would see the message here or the amount there. We are going to be adding another table here that will more clearly show the payments made from the agency to Stammer. Right now, if you want to go and see any of your receipts or invoices, you can go to the subscription tab, and right underneath your subscribed plan, you can see review invoices and card details. If you click on that, that'll open up a Stripe window, and that will show you all of your transactions. And that's where you can see it right now. But like I said, we are going to be adding a table in to make it easier to see all those transactions inside the billing tab there. Got a couple more small little bug fixes, enhancing the chat widget, as well as handling any edge cases with Meta and WhatsApp. So those are continuously being improved, as well as, like I mentioned earlier, some of the greater features that we're working on that we're going to be releasing in the next couple months. Things like voice, live chat, vision, both ways, more further integrations with different platforms, things like that. So lots of fun new items and lots of advanced functionality coming down the pipeline very soon. All right. Next up, we're going to go over a question that I answered this over the weekend, and I thought it was useful, so I thought I'd bring it up and mention it here. Someone simply asked, what is the value proposition of an AI agency? This is a very fair question. And over the last 2 years now, almost, we've been giving lots of different answers, but I tried to distill those answers into like 3 to 5 points, basically. Um, I'm not going to read these all word for word. You can screenshot and do whatever, but the ones I'd like to mention, obviously, is this first one. Business owners want to focus on their business, not AI. This is something that myself, Tim, Drew, everyone on the Stammer team has been mentioning to agencies when we talk to them, especially within the context of um, building AI agents, but also within things like building a website or managing your ads or your social media. There's a lot of ancillary things that business owners need to have for their business, but they're not necessarily the ones to own that or take charge of that. And when it comes to AI and specifically prompt engineering, which is a big part of these AI agents, they don't typically want to have to sit down and learn and go and do that process of what it takes to learn how to do it effectively for their specific use case, which is one of the reasons why all us AI nerds are able to actually create these things that actually work. It's because we're able to do the prompt engineering piece. Um, and then the last one I'll mention is the difference between the done for you or the DIY offer. You can do both within Stammer, within pretty much any platform. It just kind of depends on how much service that you're going to be providing to your clients and the value that that represents to them. If it's something that is relatively easy, for example, if someone's using a lot of templates and just trying to push a ton of traffic, selling it as a DIY service for a lower price could make a lot of sense. On the flip side, if you're trying to do more of a white glove or done for you service, um, obviously you can charge a little bit more, especially if we're talking about custom integrations or custom functions, which is where a lot of people are finding the high value side of selling these AI agents to businesses is in the custom IP of these custom functions. Um, and a quick example of that would be something like a Google Sheets integration. Now, this one is something that we'll probably eventually build in um, as an integration. But right now, if you have a table that's being updated inside Google Sheets or an Airtable or in Notion or anywhere your client is already collecting data, you can create a custom function that will allow the AI agent to see all of this data and be able to respond accordingly um, by being able to pull down all the information in that row based off of information from the conversation. So if you think about this within the context of this simple example, you could quickly expand it to other things like e-commerce or heavier databases or things that have lots and lots and lots of data that is very structured. One of the things that we consistently see kind of quite often is people overutilizing the website scraper or trying to use the website scraper to scrape thousands and thousands of web pages. And while technically that's possible and technically that you can do that, using something like one of those custom functions is actually going to be a little bit more reliable because it's actually connected directly to the data source rather than it just like looking at the data source. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit of a brief little overview on the strategy side there. We can now go into any questions. Tim, do you have any Stammer Tim, do you have anything to mention?
Um, yeah, a couple things. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We had a big conversation with a customer of ours who's been actually I don't know his actual name, so I can't say it, but he's on Discord, and I've actually interviewed him now that I think about it. Anyway, regardless, we had a big discussion about this very topic about the web scraper and the knowledge base, the way it's currently structured when you don't use custom functions, is best for kind of what's called a semantic search, right? That's kind of a keyword search, is the way you can kind of think of that. So that's very good for like textual data, as Ross said. But when it comes to needing to give the chatbot access to perfect product data for a large product database, it doesn't work quite as well. And so we are investigating other solutions for that. Possibly we could start off with you upload some type of Excel file or something to where it has the ability to query kind of a database and recall that product data perfectly. So we know
Yeah.
it's a huge use case and
And
we're looking into it.
just a good example of that would be so like let's say you have a website or an e-commerce store that has thousands of products, but a lot of those products are very, very similar to each other. If the user asks a question, you know, like what would be the best turf for my front yard, and there's 300 different turf options um, that all start with the same name or have the same words or the same kind of defining features that are similar, the semantic search will be able to pick up a lot of data based off of that keyword, which might not be the all the relevant or the relevant information that the user is wanting to get as an answer. So the comparable to that is a custom function, and a custom function represents the idea of an app that is built and installed within a business's atmosphere. The one that we've created natively, we you could use as an example is the Stammer Zapier app, and this is actually something that we're going to be launching very, very soon. The ability for us to create you a white labeled version of the Zapier app. So you can use Zapier right now with the white label API, but some people like being able to just search for the name of something. The custom functions, custom integrations, that allows you to have the same functionality, but it's not a name branded app to your agency yet, which is why we're going to offer it as an upsell essentially, because we're going to have to develop it for you. But the idea is like these custom functions represent entire apps before they're entire apps. And it allows the functionality to work. And the idea is if an agency can sell it for a large sum of money, then that allows them to develop it potentially through us to create that custom app slash native integration for their client. I don't know if all that made sense or not. um, Anything else to add, Tim, on that?
Yeah, and I mean, one of our customers responded to that conversation that I was having with the other customer in Discord, and you guys can go and check that. And he built a Shopify integration using Ross's tutorial where Ross built it,
Exactly.
and he got it to work using AI. And now what he can do literally is go and target that niche, right? Shopify users who are using Shopify, he's got a ready to go integration that pulls perfect product data. So the custom functions is very valuable. That being said, we understand the fact that you do have to be a little bit technical to get it set up, but there's a lot you can do with just using AI. And if
And
you guys need, yo,
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
and the templates, like so that's a really, really good example. So in that agency, in this guy's use case now, he has a custom app, a custom Shopify app that he can install on his clients' Shopify stores. And when he does that process, the customer will see his agency's branding, his agency's custom URLs and domain name. It won't mention Stammer anywhere. So from a user point of view, they're like, oh, this guy just made an app for us or for his AI agents or whatever. that is now talking to my dashboard that I'm now looking at under the same custom domain. And he just copied and pasted and used the tutorial that I made using Replit AI agents, which is using ChatGPT. So essentially all of this really came from AI in the first place. And we're just now recycling it and using it to provide value in these scenarios. So yeah.
Ross, Ross,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, you're talking about Zapier, however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
What about Make? What about Make.com?
Yeah.
That seems to be in the communities that I'm in. It seems to be riding higher at the moment because you can do a lot more with it.
Definitely.
Is that on the plan in the sense of creating this thing for both Zapier and Make?
Yes, yes. We have Zapier, Make, and actually the Go High Level GHL app marketplace as well. These are all like these are kind of like the three main one or N8 IO actually would be another one.
Yeah,
Um, right now you can use all of those platforms using the white label API and webhooks. And the idea is over time, we'll build those native integrations for those platforms, alleviating the use for that step with webhooks.
yeah,
That being said, that will indeed show a Stammer branded app.
yeah,
So that's kind of the trade-off there. And then the step above that which will be the offer that we're going to be releasing probably at the end of this month, which is the ability for our team to develop a white labeled app on one of those platforms for your agency under
yeah,
your brand.
yeah. Which sounds brilliant. One other thing, you've talked a lot about custom functions and things. As an agency, not as a SaaS provider, but as an agency, we don't have access to that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes, correct. That was an early decision for as because we do new features on full SaaS mode only, so that way our users can test it out for us. That being said, we'll probably introduce that with one of our plan updates coming soon. We're gonna do kind of like a holiday, not a sale, but it's gonna be a promotional event, I'll say,
Right.
for the holidays.
Because
So
I'm toying with a variety of different things. I've sent you guys an email, which you'll see at some point or other, with reference to SaaS. I'm involved in a number of communities, and there are people asking me what I'm using. I'm obviously recommending you guys, but then I'm thinking, well, why don't I have a SaaS? But my other part of me is the agency part of me, and I'm thinking I could really do with getting into custom functions. You've got your lead data function and other functions. You're talking about adding value. As an agent, I can't add value if I can't deal with custom functions. I would love to be able to have that. And I think a lot of other agencies would appreciate just having that as part of their agency package. I appreciate obviously you've got to test it all, and obviously the SaaS side of things is the best way to do that. But if it is, usable, if it's available, if it's working as you expect it to work, then it would be very much appreciated by agencies if they can actually add value to their agencies by using that, if that makes sense.
yeah, of course. One of the other reasons that we don't just release the feature out to everybody right away is the amount of support tickets that we get from people who don't know necessarily what they're doing with the platform versus
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
you all who do, which is stark difference in reporting of tickets, which is fine, but that's one of the other reasons. So, like I said, we'll have an update on this in the next like month or so. And we can we could probably just add it to your account so you can play around with it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So we'll have some more updates on that shortly.
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you, Ross.
Yeah. Yeah, and that being said, if anybody has any other ideas or needs for an example for a custom function, please let us know because I had a blast actually making those tutorials and figuring all that stuff out. So it definitely I could definitely and like just being able to play around with it and get the ideas out of your head because basically what I'm describing right now is uh just kind of like that, being able to hunker down and figure something out, and then it works, and then you can sell it. It's pretty cool.
Yep. Yep. No, that's excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's nothing more fun than playing around with things and getting them to work, and then you get this big yes,
exactly.
and then everybody else in the coffee shop turns around and looks at you as if to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, yes."
Exactly. Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much all I had planned out for today. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Anything they want to bring up? Like I said, we're Tim and I have been hunkered down in the lab, so to speak, working on some of these next bigger features that we're gonna be releasing here. So we're really excited to get those out to our top agencies and then fully release it at the beginning of the year. So a lot of stuff will be released probably at the beginning of the new year when everyone's kind of back from the holidays, so to speak. Um, in my experience as an agency, a lot of business owners will kind of not take that time off, but they're not looking for like new things per se during this period. So this is where we're we're gonna just hunker down, get all these new features out, and then start marketing the heck out of them.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing from me, Ross. You mentioned earlier about you were doing the Google Sheets thing, and with regards to Shopify, and one of the people on the platform was able to use that by following your tutorial. Is the tutorial on your own YouTube channel, or is it on the Stammer one,
It
or
it
where
is
would I find it?
Yeah, it is, and I'll send you the link. Regardless if it's uploaded to my YouTube or to Stammer's YouTube, all content is consolidated in our documentation. So
Right,
anytime I
brilliant,
make a tutorial, I'll always also write an article that explains and then embeds that video.
brilliant,
So the source of truth will be the documentation, and then I'll send you that. I'll get that link real quick. I've got it up right here.
brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I realized that was a little confusing early on, so but almost at I think 6K subscribers, which is kind of cool. So
Fantastic. No,
that's
that
kind
is
of
brilliant.
fun. Yeah. There's consistency though. That's the tough part. I know many of you are familiar with that. Tim, are you still posting on LinkedIn?
Tim Bennett, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still we've got another campaign going to start hopefully later this week or early next week,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to roll the chatbots into the offer basically. So it won't be
Nice.
an exclusive AI offer because I think there's still some nervousness with people just wanting to just go for AI's sake, and the customer service piece is also really busy. So we're just going to spin it back into our agency offering and sprinkle it into all of the services we offer there.
Are you doing video or text posts mostly?
Yeah, we've got another stack of videos going to come out.
Okay.
So and they'll almost be like tutorials and like how tos or just like the bots in action
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I think it's just like we've said before, it's just about creating noise, isn't it? And just being seen all the time.
Yep. So I started using a repurpose.io gets you 20% off, humble plug. But I've been using that platform and I actually canceled and then I came back because I couldn't find a better alternative. So the annoying part with repurpose is sometimes your accounts will get disconnected randomly. And that's more of an issue that I realized with Meta now that we have our own integration with Meta and all of their BS. So it's actually Meta's fault most of the time. That being said, I use repurpose to post on TikTok and then it auto posts to LinkedIn as the same video. And now I get emails from LinkedIn every week being like, your video just got 6,432 impressions last week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the exact same kind of traction that I'm feeling that I had with YouTube Shorts like 2 years ago, where I wasn't really focusing on it, but I used the automations to just repost content that I was already creating. And then I was like, oh, whoopsie daisies. All of a sudden I have like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Same thing is kind of happening with LinkedIn, which is interesting.
That's good to know.
Good.
Um, yeah. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Um, yeah, lost my train of thought, but yeah, LinkedIn's a good spot. So Tim, you mentioned that you're talking about like the how-to videos and all these things, right? Um, that's exactly where my train of thought was up until basically this last month was like, how do I create content that gets people's interest from the how perspective? One of the things that I'm now testing, and I don't have enough information to give any solid feedback on this yet, but a new thing I'm testing is instead of the how, I'm trying to be more a general proponent of AI in general, which my goal is to continuously try to set myself up as an quote unquote authority figure within the AI space. So instead of me showing the how, I'm trying to position more of like the why like why is AI even good in the first place? Hopefully to help some of the hesitancy that I think some of us might still be feeling when talking with some businesses.
Yes, I've been reading in different communities and that of other agencies and stuff, whereby some people are basically saying that they don't use the term AI agent, but they're starting to use the term virtual agent.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
because of the fact that small businesses tend to get turned off by the words AI, because at the moment they're just hearing all the bad stuff. It's going to take
Interesting.
over your jobs, and we're going to get them all talking to each other, and then they'll start ruling everything, etc., 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 which is all bollocks as we know. But as a small business that is concentrating specifically on running their small business,
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking to them about AI and they suddenly think about, oh my god, we can't be using that, that's going to ruin everything, when
Yeah,
in effect it's up to us to be able to explain to them and show them the benefits. Is not going to replace any jobs, it's just going
exactly.
to enhance the businesses. And
Exactly.
the sooner they get on to that, the better, really. So yeah, that was just one of the things I wanted to point out. Not me personally that said that, I can't remember who or where I saw it, but
No, that's
yeah.
good. I mean, that's something that Drew and I have talked about for, I mean, years now at this point, where everybody has their ideas, their heads in the clouds when it comes to AI, and it's our job as the agencies to kind of bring them back down to earth with not only realistic capabilities and functionality, but also the best use cases and best way to actually use this stuff for their business and not it be like, oh, let me just generate images for you or something like that.
Yeah, precisely.
Something
I
that's
mean,
obvious.
we all have we're all small businesses are also quite um, comfortable now with things like virtual assistants,
Hmm.
whereby you have a PA somewhere that's looking after you and doing everything, but they're on the other side of the world, or they're
Yep.
in so the virtual side of things is known. So to move from a virtual assistant to a virtual agent is a step that they could make, as opposed to an AI agent. So that there's the bit in the middle, if
Yeah.
you see what I mean.
Yeah. It's an easier transition, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Yep. Definitely. Cool. Any last questions, comments, concerns?
No, that's all good. Thank you, Ross.
I just had one ticket open in the ticket library,
Okay.
and that was about multi-factor authentication. I'm not sure if that. I know it was an old ticket from some time ago, and I just went and boosted that again. And I just wondered if that is something that you could or is
Yeah.
on the roadmap, or you're considering. The reason we ask is that we're doing more and more work with local education, councils, and probably healthcare as well, and it's a mandatory requirement. Any software that they use in their businesses has to have this this authentication, third party,
So
two-factor
like,
authentication.
yeah, 2FA. So like hitting your phone number with a code
Exactly that, or using an authenticator app.
or the app. Yeah, yeah, with the QR code. Okay. Tim, have you had a chance to look at that one at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're definitely aware of that need. Um, it's just because of the white labeling, the complexity of setting it up is high. Well, and I guess we could use an authenticator app to kind of simplify things because the text messaging aspect would be problematic. We'd have to set you up with the A2P type stuff and do all that. Um, but we're looking into. We'll figure it out. What would you say is the priority of that to you right now, Tim? Is that
Doing some
you could
work with the
convert a lot more?
NHS. Yeah, so we're doing a project with the NHS right now. We can't get off first base if we don't have that. They won't even entertain the project with us.
Really interesting. Okay.
And that's because of their requirements with third-party software and how they operate and that.
That's just
So
like a rule they have.
it's just a standard rule for data protection. And I think a lot of it also is driven by, the data protection laws in the UK and Europe. And
Yeah.
they tend to be stricter in the sense that things are getting locked down everywhere from, to stop fraud, to stop spamming. Every kind of software now you access generally has that kind of authentication.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get it added to the board so it comes up in our team conversation this week, and then we'll get it prioritized for you.
Great.
Mhm. Tim, would you say that's higher priority to you right now than say things like voice, inbox, the ability to respond to messages within our interface? Would you say it's higher priority than that?
On 2 projects it is right now. Yeah, it's
I get it. Because it's a base level thing that you need to even be considered.
Yeah, it's just that we need that in place just to show I won't go into all the detail, but we have
Right.
pages and pages of cyber security information that we have to go through, and that's pretty high up on their list of to-dos.
Okay.
So if we don't get that, we can't then start working through the other stuff. The voice stuff, yeah, great to have, but there's still sort of issues around that and integration. So that's a little bit further away for us anyway.
Okay.
Makes sense. Let us talk to the developers and understand the complexity of adding it, and then we can get back to you and let you know.
Perfect. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys next week.
That's great. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks, Tim. Take care.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.